Hey guys, Dan here,
And Frank, Godzilla Island.
and we are the Mazer Squad coming out. Mazer Squad coming at you with the first episode of 2024. Long overdue, but we're finally here. We're bringing you a review of Tremors.
Along with Kaiju Dayz, and we're keeping up with our Ultraman Blazar reviews. I know it's long over, but you know what? We're committed to finishing out the series here, so we're going to do it. We're going to power through it with you guys if you've been sticking with us. And then, of course, we'll review the movie whenever that drops. Um, but in the meantime, we have some news. We're going to get into that soon. Just, we're happy to be back here in 2024. Both of us were sick. First Stan was sick, then me, and it's just been taking forever to get these coughs out. So don't mind the cough drops if you see me popping them in over the show to keep it under at bay. So
Yeah,
let's get into the news. We have a lot going on. I mean,
yeah,
tons of Godzilla comics, movies announced.
yeah.
Uh,
We have two classic monster movie remakes announced. First one is the Them remake that we've covered multiple times on the show. Then we have Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is going to be apparently co-written by Tim Burton. Well,
and
directed by Tim Burton
directed.
and co-written by Gone Girl writer Gillian Film.
I mean, I'm pretty excited about that one. Tim Burton, some people are hit or miss with him, and some people either love him or they're not fans of his
See, that's
movies.
the movie I'm not excited about.
No, excited. I think it's
Well,
going to be pretty good
I just
because,
feel like it doesn't need a remake. Like,
eh,
out of
they,
all the
they
movies,
did
like
do,
them, I'm interested to see what happens with it. The next movie that we're going to talk about is The Blob. That's getting a remake. And when I heard that this was getting a remake, I saw a couple of people posting online, when was the last time you saw a good movie remake? And you know what everybody's answers was? The 1988 version of The Blob.
yes, they are remaking the Blob again. Now, this is technically going to be the
Third?
third remake. They did a 1972 film called Beware the Blob. And then, of course, they did the 1988 remake, which Shout Factory just, not just, but this
Recently.
past, recently, 2023, I think it was around springtime, they had the Best Buy Steelbook exclusive, which I managed to pick up before Best Buy gave up on physical media. Uh, I've been meaning to film that, but like I said, I've been under the weather, so I will be filming that set. It's a really nice looking set, honestly. And then they have a standard edition set that you can get from Shout Factory. I don't know if any other retailers are selling it. Maybe Diabolic. I know Diabolic tends to pick up horror like that in Shout Factory sets. But yeah, it's a great film. And that is three of the WB Creatureverse, is what we're calling it, movies that they're doing because and they're all from around the same era. You have 1954 for them, 1958 Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and then 1958 again for the Blob. They came out the same year, so we have all these retro sci-fi movies with creatures, large creatures, coming out around the same from the same studio, WB. I guess you could say they're connected to the MonsterVerse as well, not necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool that they're going with these retro remakes. I don't know if the Blob, if they're gonna go for a gory horror like they did in 1988. It was a very, it's like you said, it was one of the most popular horror remakes that there's been. It's a cult hit.
Yeah. The Blob is actually the one I am excited for the most. I'm curious about them.
Of course, yeah. I really think Galciano could really crush it with them, as we've said before,
And then
because he
just
really killed it with the Werewolf by Midnight on Disney with the black and white version.
yeah. We'll see about Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
try to be all doom and gloom on it. I'm just not a Tim Burton guy.
yeah, I know. It's either I feel like that's what I was saying. Either you're a Tim Burton guy or you're not. Me, honestly, I'm a middle ground guy. I
Oh,
feel like
let me rephrase that.
hit
I'm
or
not a past the year 2000 Tim Burton guy.
yeah, he's very hit or miss. But yeah, that's a fair statement there. Past the year 2000, Tim Burton.
Before
But
that,
he
tons of good stuff.
yeah. I mean, he did want to do Dinosaurs Attack years ago, but then he ended up doing Mars Attack instead because he was scared of the whole, didn't want to get called a ripoff of Jurassic Park, because at the time Jurassic Park had burst onto the scene, and it kind of killed a lot of other dinosaur movies from big studios
Yeah.
because nobody wanted to compete with it. And I guess sure we can mention that. Yeah, they're making another Jurassic World movie as well, even though they said the last one was the last one, and it came out like last year.
Yeah.
Practically feels like.
You know,
So,
and on top of that, it's just like, oh yeah, we're just the news around that movie where it's like, we don't want a director with ideas. We just want a director that shoots.
yeah,
Like they already have a script that they like, so they don't want them to
yeah,
put any creativity into it.
yeah. Uh, Honestly, I would just kind of prefer to see Spielberg just be like, "Yo, listen, I'm going to take the reins and steer that on the right course." But yeah, let's shift back to this. I mean, uh, I think all three of these is going to be an interesting thing to see in theaters. I believe Attack of the 50-Foot Woman did get a remake in the like 80s or 90s. There's not a lot on it. I don't know if it's like a B movie remake. I did see a couple of them come up, but and there's been some other 50-Foot Woman movies that
Yeah.
aren't quite remakes. uh, we'll call them parodies,
Yeah.
adult parodies. Uh, but I mean, we had the 50-Foot Teacher from SRS. I would like to cover that one actually. I think that's a good one. But it should be interesting to see what WB's got up their sleeve with these retro creature features. I mean, clearly they've approached all these directors for films like this, so I feel like they have something brewing. I feel like we might get a Creatureverse or something. It would be cool to see these retro movies getting remade connected.
I think it's no secret that the movie industry is just really not great the last couple of years. I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, especially. There's not been a giant movie that people have been like, "Oh, you got to go see this. This is amazing." Everything's just kind of been all right.
Yeah,
And I think one of the callbacks people keep making is like, "Hey, mid 2000s, people were taking risk with movies at the time," and I think that that's what they're maybe going for. Like, "Hey, let's greenlight some passion projects and see if they
yeah.
catch fire."
I mean, I feel like the thing, honestly, I mean, obviously, the last thing we covered, Godzilla minus one, has been like the most
It just
talked
ended its
about
theatrical
movie.
run.
Yeah, I mean, it just ended its theatrical one. It was supposed to be a 1 week movie, and it turned into a practically. It was 2 months it ran.
Yeah, it was almost two
Yeah,
months. I think
2 months it ran. Yeah.
2.5
So
ish.
yeah, it did its run here in the states, and I believe it's still being shown around the world in some other theaters. But for the meantime, it's done here in the states. No word on a physical release yet. This Disney Plus thing's been circulating on the web about Godzilla minus one, saying it's going to come out July 8th or something. I believe they're saying on Disney Plus. I don't believe it yet.
I have a hard time believing that.
I mean, maybe it'll be on Hulu because uh, Hulu is getting some anime as well. They do have some Godzilla movies on Hulu, which we did cover. So that could be how it's getting put on Disney Plus, maybe in other
Hmm.
countries, but here I'm gonna guess Hulu. But I originally heard rumors that it was gonna be on Amazon Prime in Japan, but who knows? Who knows? It's neither here nor there right now. It's all just speculation, and I think just rumors being thrown out there about when uh, it's gonna get its release. I
Yeah.
think once the Oscars is over, that's when we're gonna get
I
our
personally,
announcement.
it's an Oscar movie. It's highly regarded. It's a foreign film. I did not think Criterion Collection was a good outlet for the Showa Collection. If there's any boutique that would pick up this movie, it would be Criterion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
even
mean,
if it went to streaming, it would get. I still feel like it would get a special Criterion Collection release because this is a significant movie.
yeah, I think whatever we get here in the states for this, I really hope that this gets a glorious looking set with a slipcase, steelbook, or something. It should get 4K. it should get all the bells and whistles, this
It
movie,
would
when
be
it
it would
comes
be
out
nice if
on
it was the
physical.
first American release to be 4K for Godzilla. We're not going to talk about all the American made ones. We're just talking about Japanese films coming to America.
Yeah,
Because believe it or not, all the American ones have gotten 4K releases.
yeah.
But
The Japanese ones are getting 4K releases. In Japan over the last year. They've been slowly rolling those out. So I'm hoping with the 70th, we see them start popping up here. A lot of the movies on Blu-ray right now are going out of print that are currently that or were
almost
available.
all of them.
Yeah. So I feel like a new wave of collections or something is coming down the pipe right now.
Because you can't
Uh,
get the Showa collection anymore. You can't get Shin Godzilla anymore.
yeah, when
Most of the
yeah.
Millennium series is still available, but not all of it. And most of the Heisei era is not available, but you can still get one or two things.
Yeah, when you told me that the Showa collection wasn't available anymore, I was like, whoa. And then even Shin Godzilla, I mean, that's been sitting at like $8 for like years. Like you could get it, you were able to get it for like nothing, and now it's like back up there. It's like you're paying for a brand new release. It's like $30, if not more, because it's out of print.
The the Shin Godzilla one, it's going for like $100, all banged
No
up, no
way.
slip cover. Shin
What?
Godzilla is expensive,
Oh man, I should have brought that back
and
up.
it
I gotta start
was
doing that
a
now. Just buy
Funimation
it back up.
release, and it looks like Crunchyroll's not printing anymore. I'm sure there was numerous licensing issues with that movie.
Crunchyroll, yeah, they really screw the pooch with that. I heard after they announced they're shutting down that front, they just jacked up the prices on their website for everything.
Yeah.
Uh, which makes me concerned about the SS Gridman Universe movie, because that's the last thing we need here to complete that series. I want to see the end. I want a physical release here.
Yeah, and we were.
And I have a really bad feeling we're not going to get it legitimately now. So I guess I'm going to have to resort to trying to find a site with fan subs on it. I don't think there is an English sub version out there yet.
No, not the.
Not, not to my knowledge. There's sets out there that you could buy, and they buy importers, but there's no subs on them.
And you know the thing that kind of hurts with that is that the people who did the dubs for those were so into the series. You know, like
Yeah.
they were fans too. So just like the fact that that's not happened yet is just like, oh, come on, man.
And I know the last two sets we waited quite a while for, but this stings. It really stings.
Yeah.
And at least when they were doing Gridman, they were streaming it in Funimation. They were doing the first week was subs, second week was the dub version. It was every other week was a release of the episodes. We didn't get that movie release. We didn't get for Dynazenon. We had to wait for the physical release to see it here.
Yeah.
It didn't get streamed. But
Uh,
I think next episode we're gonna be talking about some anime streaming for some upcoming series. So stick around, come back for that. And yeah, you have anything else on the topic right now?
yeah, no, not as far. You know, I just wish that they would. Godzilla's kind of their flagship series, and I know physical media is not what it once was, and it's not as popular. But hey, if you're not going to have these available for people to watch, at least throw it up on a Vudu, an Apple movie, a Prime, where someone can just
Something.
pay for the digital copy and be able to watch it. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous that you have to resort to a Pluto TV channel, which had a lot of the hard to find movies taken off of it, and
Yeah.
or piracy.
Yeah.
Throw it up on a free streaming service. At least get ad revenue off of it. I don't know
Yeah.
why they're so opposed to just not having these movies accessible.
Yeah. It's it's I just don't get it with why this happens constantly with so many of these movies. It's like the clearly the fan base is, I feel like, almost bigger than ever right now. You have comic books galore, indie series everywhere popping up. It is a absolutely incredible time for Godzilla, Kaiju, the whole genre in general. And they're just like, yeah, we'll put it out of print, and everyone wants it now, and I guess they're trying to build a demand for it by taking it out of print, so that way when they come back with it for the 70th anniversary, maybe everyone will be like, "Here, take my money. I want it." I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know the thought process on why this happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some licensing pros out there that know more than us about how this works or why this happens, but it stinks right now, honestly. I mean, $100 for a banged up Shin Godzilla DVD that was just going for $9 a couple of weeks ago. It's
Yeah.
out of control.
I don't get it.
Out of control.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And and
At
it
least Shin
wasn't even.
Godzilla is available digital, so you can get it for I think
Yes.
like $10, $5, something like that. But the other
And the
ones,
physical release, yeah. The physical release wasn't even, like you said, it was from Funimation. It wasn't even that fantastic of a release.
yeah,
It was good, but it could have been presented nicer. But whatever, it is what it is. But continuing on with the Godzilla, we have just, since we've been away, we've just been hit with a massive wave of comic book announcements. I mean, just a few months ago, we were doing a segment on the wave of books that were being announced. Just in the next couple of months, we have tons of Godzilla series starting. First off, the first one coming up is Godzilla vs. Power Rangers 2. We did a little short on that one. Really excited. That was a series that we did on the show. We reviewed each issue, did shorts on all the covers and everything. I got every single cover for that series. It's like, we talk about childhood dreams come true. Uh, Same crew's back, same writers, same artists. It's going to be a multiversal story. Rita's back again, and this time she's got Astra Nema and the Alliance of Evil helping her out. And from the covers right off the bat, we see Space Godzilla is going to be possibly the main big bad, or just one of the first big bads of this series. And that's April 3rd. That's
really
before you know
soon.
it. That's going to be here. That's going to be right around the corner. I mean, we're almost in
Yeah, we
March.
probably have to put orders in soon for that.
I I set up my subscription already for that. I had originally just pre-ordered the first comic, and I just said, screw it, I'll just do the subscription for all the covers again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. Don't want to miss out on it. I've already seen some exclusive covers out there from some websites that are like crazy looking. I'm gonna steer away from those. I'm gonna get the main line of variants and reader incentive covers. Uh, so that's the first series. We're really looking forward to that one. We're gonna be busy with comic book reviews on this show because not only do we have that we did an ongoing series of reviews for, but shortly after, I'm skipping a couple here, but I'm skipping ahead in June 26th, right before the summer, once again, marks the start of Godzilla Here There Be Dragons, Sons of the Giants. Here There Be Dragons 2, Sons of the Giants. Um, this one looks like it's going to skip around some time periods. They mentioned Rome, feudal Japan, ancient Egypt, and it sounds like the main setting is going to be the American Revolution in the 1800s. Same writer again, and same artist, Frank Thierry and Anaki Miranda. Um, just really excited for this. They tease Rodan, Mothra, Hedorah, more. We love this series.
no, yeah, it was one of my favorites, and it was such a good summer series. Let's see if they can keep it up with the second one, keeping the summer vibes going.
Yeah.
But I would say probably the most summer of summer vibes would be a skateboarding Godzilla. I mean, I don't think Godzilla's actually skateboarding in this series, but also Godzilla Skate or Die starting
Yeah.
June 12th.
Oh yeah. I'm excited about this one because our boy Varen gets to be front and center as like the main
Finally.
villain is what it sounds like. Varen gets some spotlight. I was like, you know what? This series sounds absolutely nuts, but I think it's going to be a good one. And it's not only written, but it's also illustrated by Louis Joy. So he's like, boom, all in there on the whole thing. He's writing it, he's drawing it. I'm not sure if there has been a colorist announced yet. I was looking, I didn't see one. So I don't know if he's doing colors as well. If he is, absolutely
That's
insane. The
insane.
guy's doing a 5-issue series all by himself. If he is, we'll see.
There's some
But
people who do that and it takes years.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, and then besides that series, that's coming June as well. So we have the Power Rangers series is going to be ongoing. The Skate or Die series is going to be ongoing. These are going to be overlapping. On top of that, Here There Be Dragons is going to be ongoing at the tail end of these. And besides that, in May, we also get 1 week, we get the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 50th anniversary issue, which we're debating doing a 50th anniversary review show. We'll see what's going on around that time.
Yeah.
And also, we have the Godzilla 70th anniversary comic coming out, which is a big collection. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Coming out May 8th, and it's an anthology-style book, and it features a ton of writers and artists that have previously contributed to Godzilla comics with IDW. You have Jolie Jones, Michael Conrad, Matt Frank, of course, James Stoke, who wrote one of a bunch of series, and then Adam Gorham, who wrote Godzilla Rivals vs. King Ghidorah. Great read. If you haven't read the one-shots for Rivals, that's one of my favorites personally. And Dan Dio, and we have a lot more. The Jeff Zornow alternate cover, the variant cover, looks excellent. I think that's what I'm going to be picking up. But we are in for quite a lot of comics. Plus the Justice League series is running right now, too.
Plus the Justice League series. Plus the Marvel Studios compilations coming out at the end of the year as well.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Which I think we covered that in a previous episode, but yeah, there's more comic stuff coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that Marvel set. It's a little pricey, in my opinion, at $100. It is 25 comics. I believe it's 25 comics. It's a lot of comics.
It's full color. I think it's hardcover.
It is a hardcover book.
So
it is like a nice omnibus, like heavy duty release. It does pack a pretty hefty price tag. It was, I don't know if you guys saw us tweet it out, it was included with the Target buy one get one free deal that they usually do on their books, as well as the buy two get one free deal that they do on their books
they usually
as well.
Do that about once a quarter, twice a quarter, you know.
Yeah. If you do have a buddy that you think's going to want to pick that book up, the buy one get one free deal might be the way to go. That way you split it. It's a $50 book now if you buy 2 copies.
Yeah.
Split the price. There's going to be 2 variant covers for it as well. Usually variant covers, when it comes to comics, cost a tad bit more. I have not seen a listing for those yet, so I don't know.
I don't know if there's going to be like comic book store exclusive or...
Yeah, I don't know what the story is on those just yet, but Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all your big chain stores, they have the standard edition cover, which looks really cool. I don't know. I kind of want to go for the OG issue 1 cover because, you know, when I think of the series, I think of that cover.
Yeah.
But
it's probably the most iconic.
We'll see. If it's going to pack a heavier price tag, and maybe we'll split the Target deal, if anything. I'll pay $50 for that collection is great if you do the buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
So
I would say probably a fair retail price would be anywhere between $60 to $80. I think $100 is a bit of a reach.
Yeah, actually, no, it was buy one, get one half off with Target, and then it's buy 2, get one free. So
that still puts
it would be $75 a book.
Which I would say is a fair price.
That's what I personally thought it should have been priced at. But yeah, keep an eye out, guys. We're always tweeting out deals, so follow us on Twitter at Mazer Squad, and just keep an eye out. We're always trying to be on top of deals when they pop up.
Yeah, I'm searching the movie websites. I'm searching Amazon. Trying to search Walmart a little bit, but it's such a big website.
It's practically like a daily morning habit for me. I used to check practically every website for Godzilla and Kaiju, and I sort by newest, and I see what pops up, what sales prices dip. So I try to be on top of it. We both do.
Yeah.
And that's about it for the news segment.
So one more thing that we want to mention is that Kaiju Brooklyn tickets are on sale. It is June 1st. Super excited to be able to go this year. We missed the first
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, we're gonna be there for sure this year. We already got our tickets. We picked them up day one. Who knows? Maybe we might have been the first. But yeah, they have a VIP package where the day before May 31st, they're gonna have a little before party where they're gonna have DJ there. They're gonna have Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy, the movie playing. It's an Ultraman movie. Pretty cool. There's gonna be a whole cosplay contest and stuff that night. And then after the show on June 1st, the convention, at 8 p.m. that night, they'll be playing The Return of Godzilla, the Japanese version, subtitled. Some really cool things going on there. They've been announcing panels, uh, tons of great guests, artists, vendors. We're looking forward to it. We're trying to share out everything every day as much as we can on it so you guys can see. I'm absolutely hyped. This is going to be our first kaiju centric convention that we're going to, so we're really had to have this here.
Yeah, very
on the East
exciting.
Coast and in New York. Yeah, great job to Robo7 on this, and Brooklyn One Productions. We can't wait to be there,
Yeah, no,
and
super
looking
exciting.
forward to it. But let's get into the main show now. We are going to be reviewing Kaiju Dayz, really cool comic series. We were sharing this out on Twitter and everything. It was a Kickstarter funded project. You could pick up issues right now on their store online. You can get it digitally, physically still. They have the stickers. They have been actively working on issue 2, so we will be sharing out that campaign when it does pop up. What did you think of the comic? Really cool comic, I thought. It reminded me of like Simpsons or something meets kaiju. It's
It
like a
was
very
very slice of
sitcom, like
life,
dinosaurs.
and I mean that in the best way possible. Very slice of life. Really like the characters. Lot of tropes in there. There was a little like instead of like for the love of God, it was for the love of Godzilla and stuff
Yes.
like that. Or it's like cool, just little Easter eggs and stuff. I thought it was really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a fun series. It's very different from what we're usually covering. Usually we're covering it's just kaiju chaos and they're like, like your typical kaiju story. This is just way different. It's like super cartoony, Saturday morning feel almost. Um, it is inspired. I was reading the little post thing in the section, and they said that when they were working on this series, they were inspired by the Kaiju Max comic series, which I had heard of, but I had not had a chance to like pick it up and see what it was about. And that's about a kaiju prison, and it focuses on all the kaiju and everything. And I was like, wow, so I like this. That was inspired by Kaiju Max. So let me pick up Kaiju Max too. So I'm going to be reviewing that eventually on the channel. There's a lot of comics for that to cover.
Yes.
Um,
We have an unboxing of those comic books on the channel. Frank did. Massive series. So you guys should go
yeah,
check that out.
they call it 6 seasons instead of 6 arcs. They treated it like a cartoon because it was considered it's done by a cartoonist, Xander Cannon. So this is like in that same vein, and like I said, really enjoyed it, fun read. But we can get into the story. It follows a kaiju family, and it opens up with Pestania tripping on a truck, and it looks like they're attacking a city, but they're kind of it zooms out, and you find out they're just
Training. Yeah.
practicing in the cave training. And they live with Big Mama, and then she's got her brother Junior, and it's just your typical family hijinks. They're busting each other's balls. Um, they find out that it's been 10 years since Big Mama's husband passed away. I guess
Yeah, they don't
they
quite
don't
say.
they don't quite say what happened to him. I don't
I
know if
figured
he's
maybe he got taken down and he was like attacking a city or something like that because the Big Mom is super protective of her children kaiju and doesn't really want them going out doing anything super dangerous. because
Yeah.
she doesn't want them getting taken down by tanks or anything like that. So they're always training, and
Yeah.
Pezzentia is kind of limited to attacking like fishing villages.
Yeah. She's considered a level 2 threat, where her brother is considered a level 5 threat. And then Big Mama is just like
She's a
the head
legend.
honcho.
Yeah,
She's like a legend right now. And then their aunt Praetara comes to the cave, and she's like, "Listen, we should go have a speed dating thing. We should do it. It's been 10 years since you've been without a husband." And Big Mama's like, Where'd you get this?" And it zooms out, and you see the whole outside of the cave is literally like plastered in those flyers because somebody's trying to get her to come to this speed dating. And they're finally like, all right, I'll go. And she goes, and the children decide to do their own thing. And
yeah,
Pestania wants to show off and prove that she's a real kaiju. And there's some like little hijinks where she shoots her, her eye beams, and shoots a kaiju out of the sky.
yeah. Oh, that was a cool little detail. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you darn kids!" But she talks her brother Junior into
Sorry.
taking her to a big city. So they're going around, they're having some fun. There's a little skit where like there's a guy in a tank, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Where's the threat?" And it's behind him, and like the tank gets destroyed, and the cars that he was blocking in traffic were like, "Yay, we can drive now!" And then they get foot stomp right in front of them, so they can't drive. Um, so cut back to the mother during the speed dating thing. It's not going well. All the men there are weak, little fragile beings, and she wants a man's man. So she just goes to the punch bowl. She's like, "I'm done with this place." And then some guy tries to steal her drink. So she's like, "Oh," she's like, they start hitting it off. They have a lot of things in common. Cut back to the kids again, and they're in some trouble because they're sending in a big airstrike, and also they're sending in a hero kaiju is what they refer to it as, but essentially it looked like a an ultra or like some type of knight in armor type of
Yeah.
character.
His name was Vassal.
Vassal.
He looked like this big, like, yeah, he was sort of like a gigantic knight in armor. Vassal the Righteous. And he shows up, and they're like, "Oh boy, we got to get out of here." Junior's like, "We got to run." He's like, "I can't take this guy." And they're at the speed dating, and it comes on the news. And Big Mama's like, "I got to go get my kids." And then the guy that Big Mama was hitting it off with was like, "You didn't tell me you had kids. When were you going to tell me this?" And it doesn't work out with that guy.
No, not at all.
But the kids look like they are in trouble, and Vassal's got them cornered. And that's when Big Mama shows up and just saves the day and just makes short work of Vassal, just delivering a beatdown on him and just knocking him out to the sky. And it's pretty funny. It just kind of ends after the fight. They're back in the cave, cleaning things up, getting ready to train more, and they're a happy family again. Uh, I'm just curious to see where this goes. This could be like I said, it feels like it could be almost like a weekly series, just like
Yeah,
the hijinks of it.
so there's like some couple like comic book artists to follow like on Twitter, and I was surprised that this isn't like a webtoon series or something where you get like little shorts. This is a little bit more long form with the storytelling, but like just these types of characters, I can see like almost like little comic book strips or something really working for it.
Yes. Yeah. No, I could totally see that. The shorts would be good, or like some sort of like Patreon thing where you're doing like a weekly short like that. Some like filler in between.
Yeah, I could definitely see that working for this series, along with the Kickstarters and stuff. I'm not saying stop
Yeah.
doing
No,
full issues,
absolutely.
but I could see supplementary content being very easy to produce for this. As far as like
Yeah.
it being easily digestible.
Oh yeah, it's just like a fun read. It's like you're not getting a crazy in-depth story with some characters with I mean these characters do have these guys do have their life struggles, their personalities, their things that are fighting. Pastania had that self doubt of being only a level 2 kaiju. Big Mama's got the husband gone for 10 years. So they all have their own little social issues. So there is character to these, but it's not like some struggles for survival among the kaiju, humans running, trying to find a way how to stop the kaiju. That's not the focus of the story. The story is the kaiju,
Exactly.
and they are the characters. So it's a pretty cool concept, very different take on a kaiju story, and it's just kind of refreshing. Like it's like you said, it's easy, escapist reading. It's fun.
Yeah, it really is like a very good, um, just
Like
a little story, and I'm happy to
you
see where it
felt good
goes
after.
next. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you felt good after reading it. It was like like oh that was nice.
There's
That was a fun read. Didn't have to be serious. It was just funny, relaxed read. And yeah, the stickers are cool. We have the unboxing of that on the channel, so keep an eye out for that video. We can link it down below, or just search Kaiju Dayz in our channel search, and it'll pop right up.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it for this. I mean, I'm looking forward to see when we get our next campaign for this. I'm hoping it's in the next couple of months. I'm hoping it pops up soon.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. But moving on, we have our review for Ultraman Blazar episodes 14 and 15. Two very different episodes. One
Yes.
I felt really drove the plot forward. Not so much concentrating on the kaiju, but really drove this plot of there's a traitor amongst us. Something's
Yeah.
going on with the government type of thing. And the other
Yeah.
one's just very slice of life, goofy Ultraman. I feel
Yeah.
like
It's
this series
the
has like almost like a tone problem where it's like some episodes are just way serious and other ones are just way goofy.
so I felt like they stuck this episode 15 in at like the perfect time because obviously episode 14, which we're gonna cover first, like you said, is the serious episode. But the previous episodes, 12, 13, and even 11, were all three of those, which were the last three that we covered, I think, on our previous show. We did a 3 episode review. All of them were very serious in tone with this dark, heavy plot. So I feel like, they were like, you know what, we're getting in there, we're getting into the nitty gritty. It's getting really dark and serious. Time to just like, all right, step back for a minute, give all that a break, and kind of lighten it up a little. And that's what they did with episode 15, which was a throwback episode too. But first, let's go into episode 14 where we last left off. Like you said, they're starting to connect the dots. That some of these kaiju attacks are all linked together. This alien invasion, they were all coming from the same galaxy cluster, and there were attacks dating years back that were just all connecting with the whole situation, and they felt like there was a leak, which is where Emmy comes into play. This episode really focused a lot on her. She's our undercover specialist. She's the one that's been going undercover throughout the series, always going in and getting some intel on the enemy, or whether it be a sketchy corporation, and she's disguised as a secretary, something. So this time, she's kind of just been away, and nobody really knows what she's been up to. Uh, but she's been gathering intel. And on top of that, the episode starts off just with reports of this kaiju you see above down here, Delton Doll just flying through the skies, causing chaos. Um, yeah, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so like one of the weird things about this, so they're like obviously they have to engage this kaiju who's flying all over the earth, super fast. They really can't track them very well,
at
And
Mach 9 speeds.
yeah, and they think that this is like another possible. They're not sure; it's not confirmed, but they're like, "Oh, is this another space kaiju that's coming in to attack us? Is this the next wave?" It ends up being not like it is a native kaiju,
Yeah, they found out it like hatched in like a mountain or something like
but
that.
obviously they dispatched Earth Garon. They're trying to track it down, and they just can't catch it.
Yeah. Earth Gammon only goes Mach 4 and this kaiju goes Mach 9, so they're just.
It's just completely outrun. So
Yeah.
the commander gets like all upset about them. All like the head guy. He's like all like if you guys don't catch this, we're gonna disband Scarred. You guys are completely ineffective.
Yeah,
And it's just,
and they've been getting this. They've been getting this spiel since this whole dark arc started.
but it's
They just
getting more and more and more, just kind of ridiculous too. Where
yeah,
it's just like the argument doesn't even make sense.
yeah. They're like, oh, why should you retreat from an EMP? Like you just you weren't gonna sit there and let your Earth Garon get decommissioned in the battlefield and get stomped on. How come you couldn't keep up with a kaiju who's double the speed of Earth Garon's max speed? Like, what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
They don't. You didn't provide the money to provide the tech that could handle this. Yeah, sure, you got a high tech, super mecha kaiju vehicle, but it's still not good enough. So,
it keeps getting.
what do you want Scar to do?
So, and it's like, I guess I hope this all gets kind of sorted out soon, but I think we're gonna get the whole villain reveal, tell us the whole plan thing. But it's just like, this is the guy that put Scar together. Like, what's the motive?
Yeah,
Like, you could have just not had Earth be prepared for these kaiju.
yeah.
I'm just a little confused sometimes with some of the plot, but still a fun show. It's just this little villain inside man job. I really hope they start explaining some stuff soon.
Yeah, like, so it's the commander, because we see he made a sketchy phone call talking about the wave. So, I don't know who he called. I don't know if this is a test, which is why he's pushing them to be better. I don't know if this is like, is Earth prepared to defend it against an alien invader? Like, maybe he's like also like another Ultra host or something. I mean, I know the series finale's been out. We're way behind. I didn't hear anything about that, but maybe it's something like that. Emmy finds out in this episode, in her research and investigation, that there was this V99 project that involved Gento and her missing dad, it turns out, which is why she's been this investigator. And he was the lead researcher on this project. And he went missing that day. Gento, we keep seeing that flashback of the Blazar vortex. That's when he went missing. And that's sort of where the dots start to begin connecting. And while all this is going on, Delton Dahl is still just flying through the sky. He's shed his skin now. They found that he shed his skin, which is where they're like, all right, yeah, he's a native kaiju. He's not from space. And it turns out that Emmy and the commander that's been giving him shit are like kind of close not relatives, but like family friends, which is why he's kind of letting her off for poking around too. So it's kind of like, whoa, what's going on with these connections? Is he behind it? What's he covering up? What does he know? But basically, we kind of get to the point where she's being told off by the commanders, stop digging. You're not going to find what you want. If you dig any more, I can't help you and prevent you from getting in trouble or arrested. Then we kind of just get to our air battle. The Delton Dahl story's kind of just like sort of the subplot for this
Yeah,
episode.
it's very yeah.
We don't even get a really good view of this kaiju, honestly.
No, this is the best picture I could find on the background, and it's like probably from like a frame of the show.
This kaiju got definitely the least spotlight. There's this whole air battle that like they figure out that it's been hiding in cumulus clouds, and they trap it, and they kind of just take it down rather quickly. Of course, Ultraman Blazar takes him down, but it's kind of like it's all Emmy this episode, and it's a lot of driving her story forward. And like I said, the Delta doll kind of was like, to me, the most underwhelming kaiju of this series so far. When it came to kaiju story this episode, I was just not into it. It was just more like driving the plot forward for this season.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I felt about it too. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for the episode. It's just kind of there. It drove the plot, and kind of on to the next one, honestly. Not my favorite episode of the series.
Yeah.
I really hope they do something cool with Earth Garon. I kind of really do, because it's kind of just like getting outclassed every episode.
Yeah, Earth Garon needs some upgrades, big time.
Yeah, and I feel like they're always trying to upgrade it, and it's never like
you
never get that like you never get that Super Saiyan moment where it's like, wow, this is the upgrade, and then you can get another villain to come along eventually and outclass it. That's fine, but it never gets to the point where it's enough.
Yeah, it's always like, it would have been enough for that one way back when. Now it's like,
like do an episode where like something happens to Gento and Ultraman is not coming, and like maybe like right as he's about to get there, Earth Garon takes care of it, like something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll go on to episode 15. I really like this one. It was a fun episode.
It follows Gento's son. Yes. He's on his way home from school. There's a bunch of kids, and they see this one loner kid hanging out down by like a creek, and he's like, want to come to my secret base? And they're like, yeah, sure. So Gento's kid goes there, and he shows him all these drawings of kaiju, and he draws this kaiju Gavadon. Gento's son draws it, and Gento's just back at his apartment, and they're watching the news, and then next thing you know, there's Gavadon on the news, mysteriously showing up in the park, just wandering around, and the kid's like, I drew that.
It's so like a little like rat-sized thing.
At the time, it's just like a little rat-sized
maybe like
thing.
It's not very large.
Yeah. And the kids go down there, and they quickly catch Gavadon with butterfly nets, and it's like their little pet. It's like their best friend. They're like just chilling with Gavadon. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Then he like lands back on a piece of paper, goes away for the night. So the next day they're like, let's get Gavadon again. So they draw him a little bit bigger, and now Gavadon is probably about the size of a dolphin.
Yeah, and it's at this point we see back at the Scarred base that they're kind of just monitoring this weird cosmic radiation that's been hitting Earth. That's where you get you get the hint that this cosmic radiation is what's causing Gavadon. So yeah, they're going around. They're having the best time of their lives once again with Gavadon, and now a bunch of other kids have seen Gavadon, and they're all just hanging out. And there's a point where there's a bunch of moms walking by, and they're just kind of standing in front of Gavadon. And the mom's like, look at how nice these kids are, just hanging out together, standing nicely as we walk by. But it's just like a cutesy little episode where it's just kids playing with Gavadon. They're like, he's harmless. And I mean, you just look at him up there in the corner. He really is harmless.
He is a legacy monster, but it really has nothing to do with that. Yeah. He's just there as like a wink and a nod to old stuff. So they don't really even reference anything. Well, eventually Gavidon gets bigger and bigger and eventually gets full kaiju size.
Yeah.
So he's taking up space in the city, and they're dropping air raids and like.
And it's funny because the bombs are literally, because Gavidon's just this like gelatinous looking kaiju. The missiles are just like hitting Gavidon and just like flopping off.
Yeah, like a trampoline, like boom,
yeah,
boom. They're just going all over the place.
And it's called, and the missiles are actually what's destroying the city, and it's not Gavidon.
Yeah, Gavidon's just there.
And in this episode, we get one of the most. Well, before we get into that, Gento's son's defending Gavidon to his father, saying, "Listen, he's a harmless monster. We created him. We drew him. He's friendly. He doesn't mean any harm." And the whole time, Gento's there working with Scarred, and he sees his son with Gavidon and his friends. They're trying to just tell Gavidon, "Hey, just get out of the city. Go someplace safe. We don't want you to get hurt." And these missile strikes are coming, and he's like, "Oh, crap, I better protect my kid." So he turns into Blazar, and we get, just when we thought the fishing rod in episode 2 was the craziest Blazar power, we see the most insane Blazar power, possibly one of the most insane Ultraman powers I've ever seen in an episode. Gento, as Ultraman Blazar, creates a Blazar claw machine. And just like picks up Gavidon in the city and is like, boop, we're taking you to safety. And he takes Gavidon into space and he becomes a constellation. And that's the end of Gavidon. They didn't kill Gavidon. Gento didn't have to kill him. He just claw machined him with some Blazar energy. Now, it's been a while since I saw the original Ultraman Gavidon episode. In that episode, I remember Gavidon was a drawing on a wall in one of the kids' rooms. And each day, it would have more and more added to it until it finally became like a full-out kaiju with legs, horns. So it didn't stay in this form the whole time like it did now in this Blazar episode. So it was a little bit of a different story. Similar story, though, where it was a drawing brought to life. But there was another nice throwback episode. We had the Ultra Q throwback episode with Garamon. And now we have this one with Gavidon. So I'm curious to see if we have any other legacy monsters show up further into this series. But definitely a fun, lighthearted episode with the kids. And bringing it back to Ultraman's roots.
Yeah, no. Definitely enjoyed it. Interested to see the next set of episodes. We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, we're going to be covering that soon on the next episode, too. We got to catch up, guys.
Yeah, no, we're going to try to knock these out real quick. But yeah, I guess moving on to the main event, we have 1990s Tremors.
Oh, what a classic. I mean,
yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen this, and I'm going to say something that sounds really old, but I remember renting this from Blockbuster Video with its sequels 2 and 3 and even 4, Back to Perfection.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the TV show in the early 2000s.
Yeah, on Sci-Fi.
On Sci-Fi, yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny you mention Blockbuster. I guess we're going to get into some of the background of the movie before we do a review. So 1990, this movie comes out, had a budget of $13 million because they went over budget. It was supposed to be a cheap movie for them at the time for Universal to license out. Ended up completely flopping, and Kevin Bacon was like, yes, I was in yet another flop. His movie career was heading downhill. And then magically 2 or 3 years later, renting movies becomes a thing. And Tremors absolutely explodes. It's probably one of the most popular rent movies ever. You'd go to Blockbuster, they'd have giant displays of Grabloids for people to rent Tremors. So it was really a movie that took off because of the VHS era.
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon, at the time of filming this and when it was in theaters, his wife was pregnant for the first time with his first child. So
You had to
on
leave
top of
set to go
yes,
go to the hospital.
they had a phone specifically on set for that. They filmed this in the middle of the desert, so that they had a phone specifically for that in case she went into labor. But through filming this and just the stress of that, dealing with the monsters, he was sleepwalking at night. There was one instance where he carried her out of the house and was saying that he has to save her. So he definitely had some stress behind this movie being filmed in the desert. He's like, I'm doing this monster movie about worms in the ground. He's like, what am I doing with my career? He was under some stress at the time there. And at the time he was very unhappy with working on this film, as clearly his character did not return for 2, 3, or any of the sequels that have since come out.
He did return for a TV pilot, but that
yes.
didn't get picked up.
And he was heavy behind that pilot. He was one of the leading forces to that pilot.
And he's come back for interviews now, so he's kind of back with them.
Yeah, he's come around to it. It's like it's a movie that has aged to like fine wine now, and he sees that. And at the time, like you said, at the time it was considered a flop, but I think it's a massive success now.
Yeah, I think one of the funny things is that like the town that they filmed it in didn't really have the infrastructure to support a film crew, so they had like every single motel, hotel, whatever was in town, they had like every single room booked out for the crew, and it was just like they basically took over the whole town just to film this movie.
Yeah.
And it was like there was like one bar in town, so everyone would be there at night. It sounded like it was a really like close knit group of people. Other people that are in this, Fred Ward, mainly known for this, Remo Williams, he did come back for the sequel movie. Yes. Aftershocks, which I will get to touch a little bit about that movie, but it was really because of the success of the rentals they made that movie.
Yeah,
which I guess is the equivalent of making like a streaming sequel these days.
Yeah. Because most of the movies after this first one were just straight to video releases. I don't think any of them got theatrical releases.
I'm not sure about Aftershocks, but I'm pretty sure they were all home video ones. The second movie was made on a third of the budget of the first one.
I haven't seen that one in forever. I've seen Tremors, the original one, tons of times. I've seen it on TV. You said, we've rented it.
I think I've seen 2 probably once. I've seen 3 a million times. I've seen 4 a bunch. It's all the TV series. I've watched 5. I have not seen 6 or 7.
I have not seen anything past the TV series. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, which is like a prequel, really, and then the TV series, which has quite a lot of cameos in it. I was looking at the cast for that series, and I'm like, there was quite a lot of people in that series. We're going to a convention this summer, and I was just reading up on Michael Rooker, who a lot of you probably know from Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, Walking Dead. He was even in an episode of Tremors. I was like, whoa, I did not know that.
Yeah, but it's kind of a really big franchise, and you look at the people that are in it. You have people that were from move on to go do Breaking Bad, and it's really like quite the franchise. I didn't know that Michael Gross was like apparently like a sitcom dad, and this was like he wanted to not be typecast anymore, and that's why he took the role of Burt Gummer. Yeah,
he filmed this like the day after he filmed the final episode of that sitcom. Like that ended, and he was like, "Boom, I'm on set for this."
Yeah, and then Reba's first movie role, first acting gig.
Yeah, the Super Bowl national anthem this year. This was her first acting gig before She was a single mom that worked too hard on Channel 11 on
Yes.
weekdays.
So, like, quite the cast on this one. It's kind of...
And even, yeah, Walter Chang from the Three Ninjas, right? That's him, right?
Yes, yep. Walter Chang from Three Ninjas.
That's another 90s video store nostalgia for all you watchers there.
Yeah.
And then even another one, we'll get to it, the little girl in town on the pogo stick. She was ended up going on to play Hammond's granddaughter in Jurassic Park a couple years after this came out. She eventually did come back for Tremors 3. She wasn't back for Tremors 2.
Yeah.
But
so it's kind of crazy, you know, like the stuff that they actually got into this movie and the cast that they got. It was really lucky. It was kind of just like, hey, they have this idea for this movie. I think we should go with it. And they went all out. I think one of the funny... So what version of this did you watch? Did you watch a Blu-ray? Did you watch the Arrow video release? Did you watch...
I watched a regular 1080 version.
Okay. So on mine, the Arrow release, they had like these like archival... They weren't Arrow special features. They were just kind of archival interviews that they had. And apparently... the special effects originally planned on having the beak covered up by the body of the worm, and then the beak would come out of the body of the worm. And apparently they got rid of the test footage for that because they were like, we're doing a movie about worms in the desert. We are not doing a different type of movie about creatures in the desert. But apparently there's a big convention every year in the town where this was filmed.
Oh, really?
Yes. And apparently they're one of the most popular items sold there are knit devices that you would put on a body part to make it look like a graboid. And they had it at the interviews and they just like gave everybody one. It was pretty hilarious. So it's a really fun special. If you can get the physical release or get this to the featurettes, they're really funny.
Yeah, I literally just got the Arrow release. I have the regular standard Walmart version too, but yeah, I just picked up the Arrow release, so I'm gonna look for that on the special features.
It's really funny. So I recommend anybody watching that, if you're gonna get the physical version, go for that. I think the digital versions are all paid for. There's no free version of this online, so you have to, I think it's like $10, $14 for a digital version. So if you can get the Arrow video on sale for about $20, I think it's definitely the set to get.
Yeah.
So
Diabolic has it. Diabolic has the Steelbook version, and then you could pick up, I think Walmart has the regular Arrow release. It's not like this thick collector's edition release. Those are completely out of print. These for Aftershock are going out of print already.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of these left on Amazon, and Matt Frank had tweeted out that it was kind of like on sale. So I grabbed the regular Blu-ray. I didn't get the 4K version. I don't have the 4K player right now. I was like, eventually I could spring for the standard 4K release. Right now I'll hold on to the collector's version of that Arrow release because I missed out on the collector's version for Tremors 1.
As did I.
I regret that, but the Steelbook looks sweet, so I'm kind of also hoping that they do a Steelbook for Tremors 2 as well.
Yeah, it would be cool if they did. I haven't heard anything, but it'd be really nice if they did. Because the Steelbook's the only way to get the Blu-ray and the 4K in the same package.
Yeah, so I'm hoping we see that soon. I did hear a rumor that Walmart is releasing a glow-in-the-dark 7-movie collection. I don't know if it's DVD or Blu-ray. They also showed a Godzilla vs. Kong with that, so keep an eye out for that. If we do see that come up, we'll share that out.
Yeah, and with all this Blu-ray news coming out, it sounds like Walmart is going to be one of the biggest. I mean, it actually is. It has 40% of the physical media market, but it sounds like it's looking to grow that, whereas everybody else is looking to wind down on that.
Yeah, and
So Walmart
even
might be the
FY,
spot for physical
yeah,
stuff soon.
even FYE has had a couple of Steelbook exclusives, so I'm hoping that even they throw their hat back in the ring. I mean, by us, we have one FYE on the island. We're Long Islanders, and there's only one, and that's all that's left here. All the other ones are either way like upstate or not even in the state anymore,
Yeah,
which stinks because that was a great store to pick up physical media.
it really was. It was like our go-to place after Blockbuster closed.
Yeah, my Best Buy's closing, but they already abandoned physical media, so that's what you get.
Yeah.
uh,
I still do pretty good over at our Target. I thought they were supposed to stop, but I just got
yeah,
Schitt's Creek on DVD. So
yeah, so yeah, they're downsizing a little at Target. I don't know if Target's gone all in on it yet. Well, we'll see where it goes because maybe they see Best Buy backing out. Maybe they're like, you know what? Maybe we could corner this physical media thing a little too, like Walmart is.
yeah. But
But
anyway, I guess we'll get into
yeah,
the
back to
review
Walmart, back to
part.
Tremors.
We'll get to the review part. So our main characters are let's get their full name. Let's get their government name first. We have Valentine McKeed, but played by Kevin Bacon, which is just Val, and then Earl Bassett, which is played by Fred Ward. They're the main characters of this movie. They're kind of just like two hillbillies, for lack of a better term. They're just, they do day jobs. They make enough money for a pack of smokes and some drinks at the bar.
Yeah,
and that's it.
handyman.
So it's kind of funny because Chang is kind of like the owner of the town, but it's like a completely run down town. So it's not like
Yeah,
he can do anything. So they kind of just do odd jobs for him around town, and then they spend their money that they earn from him at his convenience store.
yeah.
So
I mean, that's all there is in the town is his convenience store. That's it.
yeah, and then there's anybody else who has a trailer there, and then you have Burt Gummer who lives up the hill from there.
And he's got his compound.
Yeah, he's got a compound because he doesn't trust the government. So it's kind of like a very funny like beginning because they're just doing like stupid odd jobs like pumping septic tanks and putting up wire fencing and just going around trying to hit on girls and stuff.
And there's not much to hit on, honestly.
No.
So they're out putting up fence posts, and they hear about this new college student in town that's supposed to be there doing some research, and that's Rhonda LeBeck. She's played by Finn Carter, also known as Elizabeth Fern. She hasn't been in a ton of movies, honestly.
No, I think this was kind of like the peak.
Yeah, this was unfortunately her peak, and she hasn't been doing well, and since this movie. But we can touch back on that later.
Yeah.
So she's a student in town. They're like, oh, let's go see if we can find her. So they're driving around, and they see a random truck, and they're like, oh, I see a woman there. And Kevin Bacon's character is like, oh, I hope she's a blonde, beautiful looking. And then they pull up, and she's just got like this sun hat on and this giant glob of suntan lotion on her face. And she's like a seismologist studying seismology things, earthquakes.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is not what I was hoping for from a college student. And then Earl's like, she's a good woman, because Earl's an older guy and Kevin Bacon's the younger, good-looking guy. That's the player. He's got under his, what the hell do you call that flap where you keep the keys?
Sun visor?
The sun visor. He's got all pictures of these different girls that he's been with. So, and Earl's like, you just got to think about the future. And he's like, stop thinking about now. He's like, that's his whole thing throughout the movies. Like, you got to think ahead.
Yes. So, they go, they're going into town. They're having a good time, and they see somebody up in the telephone tower, and they're like, oh, what's going on with that? So they pull over and they find, I forgot who the character was, but
it's a homeless guy. I forgot what his name was, but basically he climbed up a tower and he was dead. And They bring him back to town. The doctor's checking him out, checking out the body. He's like, he had to be up there for like 3 days, like, and he just died of dehydration and starvation.
Like, why would he climb up there and not get back down?
Yeah, so it's a little sus. And like earlier when they ran into Rhonda, she mentioned that there was some weird seismology readings going on, and meanwhile, the whole time, just Earl and Val are like, we're gonna leave this town and go for a better life. So they were leaving town when they encountered him. They're like, let's leave one more time. So they're driving again. This time they're like, yeah, we're done with the town for sure. And they run across these road workers, and the road's blocked. And they're like, what the hell? And they get out, and they just see, well, prior to this, the road workers got killed by a graboid. They were our next victims, and they just see a helmet filled with blood. So they turn around and they're like, there's a serial killer on the loose. And the phone to the next town, Bixby, is dead. So they're like, all right, let's go head back down. And then they get out and they see there's just this snake thing wrapped around their car. And of course, Cheng, being the town guy, he's like, I'll buy that off of you. So he buys it, and then sure enough, he's charging people to take pictures with it in his store.
Yeah, I thought that was like a really funny scene because it's just like like it was just like one of those things. It's like, yeah, like that's like the I own the town type of guy. That's like, oh, I'm gonna.
He just sees a way to make money off of everything.
Yes.
And
so they end up driving by a local farm. All the sheep are gone, and then it's just, you see blood inside there, and there's a hat on the ground, and they move the hat, and then the farmer's head's there,
and that's all it's there.
and so that's like another scary thing. And then there's kind of like a really cool scene with
The doctor and his
the
wife.
doctor and his wife.
They had just like moved to the town, so they're living in like a trailer.
They're building a house.
Just the two of them, and this dude's like, he's kind of old.
Probably like in his 60s, yeah.
Yeah, and like to be doing physical labor in the desert with your wife who's also like in her 60s to build a house. I don't know if they were the ones building it, but it seemed like they were.
Yeah, it seemed like they were, yes.
And I was like, this is kind of like, all right, sure, you happen to believe. I mean, they weren't like in terrible shape, but like they were kind of old to be like.
Yeah.
I'm not now. Don't get offended, people, with us saying 60-year-old people are old, but
to build an entire house by
heavy
yourself.
lifting. We're talking cinder blocks.
He was talking about pouring the foundation, like he was like constructing. He wasn't just pulling up a trailer and living out of it. That trailer was for him to live in while he was constructing his home.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean that sounds kind of like, it didn't sound like Val and Earl were helping him build it.
Yeah.
Like those would have been the guys to do it.
Those should have been the guys to do it.
So he gets taken down by a graboid because he's like, oh, the music went out. They swallowed his generator. So then he swallows him. You have the wife in the car. She's trying to drive away. Car's slowly getting dragged down. She's trying to get the keys.
And you see all the snake things coming up to the window. Like, you still haven't seen the full graboid yet, just the snake feelers.
Yeah. So
and it pulls the car under, and it pulls out, and all you see is the headlights in the sky. It's a really cool shot. Now, originally, this scene was supposed to be a little more gruesome, the car getting pulled under, but I guess they wanted to make it for a more wider audience, so that's why they elected to go with the headlights in the sky instead, just to kind of paint the picture of what happened.
Yeah.
And so, like, the next day, Earl and Val are like, all right, we got to get out and warn the doctor that there's a serial killer on the loose, because now we got more victims. These utility workers are dead. The farmer's dead. We got the homeless guy up on the top of the electric pole dead. He's like, let's go check it out. So they get to the house, and they're like, they hear noise. They hear, I believe it's music because the radio was on in the car as they got pulled under.
Yeah.
And they're like, what is that? And then they're walking around.
And they
They just see like this crater, and then they begin hearing it. And then they step on something. They're like, what's that? And they start wiping it, and it reveals a front bumper, a grill. And they start wiping it, and all you see is the headlights. And they're like, something was big enough to pull us underground. And like, maybe it was that snake thing that was wrapped around our axle, which is why our truck got stuck. Maybe it was holding our truck and not just caught on it. And they're like, we got to get off the ground. These things got pulled underground. So they kind of take off, and they're like, we gotta move fast. And they end up. Do they get a horse?
They're on horse because they don't have any more car. The car is all messed up.
Yeah.
So all they have is the horses. So they're taking the horses and trying to get out of town. They run into Rhonda again, and she's explaining all the seismic stuff to them. Like, I'm getting all these weird signals, and they're plotting it on the map. And they found out, like, hey, there's probably like 3 of these occurrences happening at the same time.
Yeah. But prior to this, actually, though, they do encounter the first graboid on a horse. And this is when it chases Val, and they go to jump over a gap, and there's like a brick wall underground, like it was for a
like an aqueduct
canal,
or something. Yeah.
Like an aqueduct. And it goes through the brick wall and dies. And that's when Rhonda shows up, and she's like, oh, did you guys just detect some seismic activity?
Yeah, and then she sees the thing.
Then she sees the thing, and she's like, what the hell is that? So then that's when she starts explaining, hey, there's been all this activity. There's got to be at least 3 more of these things now. And that's when they go back to town, and they're kind of in Walter's convenience store, and they're just going over it, and they're talking it about it, and then they're still trying to come up with a name over these things. Walter and Melvin, who's this kid that kind of just busts Val's balls the whole time, and he keeps faking like he's getting attacked, Melvin, and they're like, we're gonna kill that damn kid. And earlier in the movie, Walter mentions to Val and Earl that he's got that freezer that keeps making this noise. So they're in the shop, and they're like, well, what? These things are starting to detect movement and stuff. And that goes off, and then sure enough, everything begins shaking, and a graboid bursts through the floor of the convenience store and grabs Walter. And Walter is our next victim, our town mogul.
I know.
Running the town. One of the saddest deaths, I think, in the whole movie there was Walter.
Yeah, and I was like, no, not Walter. But so now they climb. Pretty cool scene. They're on top of the roof of the shop, and they're like, we have to get a hold of Burt Gummer and his wife. Was it Heather? Yeah, Heather.
Yes.
And so like they're trying to radio them, like, get off the ground. You can't be in your bunker. Go on your roof. And Bert's kind of like poo-pooing it, like, this is all concrete, reinforced. Nobody's getting through this. And then a graboid comes, boom, straight through the wall, and they just start shooting away, and they're hearing this off in the distance, just all the gunfire. And then all of a sudden they hear the gunfire stop, and you see what happens is Bert's shooting him, pulls out the elephant gun, starts shooting with the elephant gun, finally kills the thing. But to them, they just hear the gunfire stop. So like, oh my god, they got Bert and Heather. They're freaking out. And then they go over the radio, and they're like, we got him.
And they're celebrating, and they're like, well, there's still more.
Yeah, there's still 2 more.
Yeah. And so basically the whole town is stuck on their roof. Oh, sorry guys, I have some sound issues here. They're stuck on the roof, and they're just trying to figure out a plan. And they kind of figure out, all right, we got this whole tractor. And during all this, there is some fumbling. You have Melvin was just sitting on top of a shed, along with Nestor, and they both get knocked off this shed, and this this death annoyed the hell out of me, because Nestor had been there. He witnessed Walter get killed. All these people have been getting killed. Clearly, he knows these things come from under the ground.
Oh, he wins the Darwin Award.
Yeah, he wins the Darwin Award. Instead of climbing onto something, he plants his ass in an empty tire on the ground to hide. He just got like knocked off a shed.
Let's just say he got eaten like groceries.
Yeah. Yeah, they just went straight up through that tire, and Nestor was gone.
Yeah, Nestor's no more.
Yeah.
Poor Nestor.
I have notes right here on the screen, and it literally just says, Nestor is an idiot and hides in the tire. It's literally in our notes for this episode, with a question mark next to it.
So, they're just like, oh man, like what are we gonna do? They have this bulldozer that they're like, hey, nothing can move that thing, like, because the graboids are starting to attack the foundations of the buildings, so they can't stay on the roofs for much longer. It's gonna go down soon. So, Val and, oh my god, I keep forgetting Fred Ward's character's name. Val and Earl, they fight over who's gonna go run for this bulldozer. And they're gonna hook it up to basically like a giant, like one of those giant dumpsters.
Yeah,
it's not an actual dumpster.
It's like a trailer.
Yes.
It's almost like they took like a gas tank from a tractor trailer and they cut the top off of it.
So it's like solid steel.
Yeah.
Like really, really solid. You're not getting through it.
But there's like no tires on the thing either. It's like flat, but they're like, that tractor is like a couple thousand tons, and it could pull anything. And sure enough, they chain it to that. They get that thing going, and yeah, like you said, Earl and Val were fighting over who was going to run for it,
and they end up kind of both running for it. But Val, you do get a couple big reveals. You got a big reveal in Chang's shop of the graboid, but this is like the first really good like ground shot of it coming out of ground, and they were just like. He's trying to like dodge it, and it's coming up, and they're trying to shoot at the tentacles coming out, and the tentacle heads. Kind of really cool reveal. Behind the scenes footage of this is crazy because they literally dug a hole in the ground, put the puppet in, and then put dirt on top of it, like a little thin layer of dirt, and they literally just had the guy like popping up, operating the puppet. Which is kind of crazy.
The dude was buried underground.
Yeah. The guy was like,
in the desert.
Yeah, the guy's like, I would be buried under there for like 40 minutes. Like while they're like setting up the shot.
Jesus. That's insane.
Yeah.
I should watch some of the special features.
No, you gotta watch the special features on that disc. They're really good. It's really long though. Like there's multiple special features on there.
Yeah, Al does a great job when it comes to that.
So, it's like I spent like an hour one day just watching all the special features. They were really good. A lot of good information in there too. So anyway, they get in the trailer, and then I have a feeling that there's probably some scenes that were cut because you go from everybody getting in the trailer to them pulling up to Bert and Heather's house. So
they get their smooth sailing, like
no issues. Small little hiccup trying to get Bert and Heather into the thing because Bert's got a whole armory he's trying to bring with him. But it ends up working out pretty good. And then they're like, all right, let's just make it for the mountains because once we're in the mountains, that's solid rock.
So they begin heading to the mountains. Bert and his wife have been making pipe bombs the whole time. So they head to the mountains, and it turns out they see the two graboids that remain going around because Earl had killed one, Val had killed the one on the wall. So the two that remain are just kind of on both sides of the tractor off in the distance, and they're like, what the hell are they doing? They just see dirt kicking up, and they dug out a trench, and the tractor collapses into the trench. And at that point, the tractor can't go anywhere, but they're still in the trailer. They can't get in the trailer. So,
Yeah, so the tractor goes into the trench, and it's like, obviously these things are getting smarter. They came up with a plan. So they are running for this giant rock formation in the middle of the desert because obviously they can't go through rocks because it's too solid for them. So they're running for it and they're going for it. And luckily, I believe they all make it.
Yeah, they all make it. Melvin didn't think he could make it, but Bert gave him an empty pistol, and he had stopped to try to shoot it and then realized it was empty. But it got him to run, is what Bert said.
Yeah.
So they get to the rocks, and they have these pipe bombs that had scared it off. They're like, you know what if we trick one of these guys into eating it? So they throw one out, they start fishing it out there, and boom, Earl nails it. It was Earl, I think, got the first one, right?
Yeah, and they just take a shower.
Yeah, they take a shower. They just
get
showered in graboid guts. But one still remains, and they're just hanging out there, and waiting. And they're like, all right, let's try it one more time. So they throw another one, but this time they throw the thing back, and now they're all out there in the wild on the ground. They all somehow ended up off this rock mountain because they were trying to avoid the explosion because this last remaining graboid spit it back at them.
Yeah, yes.
So now you have Earl out in the middle of the sand, Val out in the middle of the sand, and I believe Rhonda was out there too, but they're not moving. So I believe Val had the last pipe bomb left.
Yes, so yes, he has the last pipe bomb, so he just starts making a run for it. And again, the whole point of this was, Val, you gotta stop thinking about the present, start thinking about the future. So he's running, and Earl's like, what the hell is this guy doing? He has the pipe bomb, he throws it, overshoots the graboid, it explodes behind him, so the graboid starts going towards him faster. So he keeps running, he gets to the edge of the cliff, and the graboid goes, boom, straight out of the cliff, straight down, explodes because of gravity.
And what's funny is earlier on in the movie they make a statement like, how do you know these things can't fly? So that is kind of a foreshadowing of the ending of how they kill this last one, because it goes flying through the rock and it falls and it can't fly. But it could also somewhat be a foreshadowing of the third movie where they do learn how to fly.
Yeah.
And the reason why it goes flying out is because earlier it was explained that the explosion from those pipe bombs actually scare it. So they do throw a pipe bomb to scare one of them off so that they could run to the rock initially. This is how the whole crew got there. So he's like, I'm going to run to the mountain cliff and I'm going to throw the pipe bomb. That way this thing takes off even faster and bursts through the side and doesn't even think to stop. And that's how come it fell to the ground.
Yeah. But, then basically conclusion of the movie, everyone's back in town. Val and Earl say their goodbyes, and Val and Rhonda head on out to live their life together. That's basically the end of the movie. I feel like one of the big things that we forgot to mention was when they first encountered the graboid that died in the little concrete wall thing, that they were getting followed by another graboid.
Yeah.
So they had to spend the night.
Yeah,
they did the cool little pole vault rock
we did
thing.
That scene. I was thinking about that when we were talking about this rock.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's probably one of the most epic scenes in this movie is them going from rock to rock, and the music and soundtrack for this. Such a good movie. If you guys haven't seen Tremors, just go watch it. It's such a good movie. I watched this with my wife, and she absolutely loved this movie.
Yeah. It's a classic.
She was like, this movie's so good. She's like, she watches a lot of the movies with me, and she's just like, yeah, whatever. This one, she was like, when we were done, she's like, that movie was really good.
It is. It really is a classic, and I'm glad it has become a hit, and then Arrow's giving it this awesome treatment. I really hope that we at least get the original trilogy, if not just even up to the fourth movie, in these Arrow sets.
Yeah, I would like at least the third one, because the way that this was done, I think one of the producers directed this one, and then each of the writers directed the next two movies.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone got a turn to direct a Tremors movie. Obviously with significantly lower budgets, but you know, it's like everyone got a turn. So, and I really do feel like the first three movies are like the core.
Yes, the core trilogy.
Films. Yeah. The fourth one is a prequel, and the TV series was produced at the same time as the fourth movie.
Oh.
Apparently, the fourth, the series actually did quite well for Sci-Fi, but they went through a corporate restructuring, and it was one of the shows with one of the higher budgets, and that's why it ended up only lasting one season.
Now, I know you have the DVD set for the series. It's a cheap set. It's like only like not.
Oh, it's like $9.
It's like $9 for the
Super
entire
cheap.
series.
I have it right here, actually.
They don't have a Blu-ray version of it yet. No, I don't know if it ever will.
I don't think it's ever gonna get a Blu-ray.
It's a nice looking set.
Yeah, it's a nice looking set. 3-disc.
I was reading up. Now, are the episodes out of order on that set, or did they air out of order or something?
So they aired out of order. On the set, they are the actual episode order that was intended.
Ah.
Same thing as Clone Wars, same thing as Batman the Animated Series. Whatever episodes they had, they just put out. Interviews with people from oh my god, I forget the name of the company. It's like some production company that does all these. It's not actually Universal. It's like No Frills. That's the company that produces all these movies. They said that they felt like there was somebody going after the series trying to get it canceled, because they produced the first half of the show, and instead of airing in order, they air the first two episodes that were completely had nothing to do with each other and were completely out of order and confusing for the audience. So they thought that originally it was trying to get sabotaged by somebody at Sci-Fi, and then eventually they did have that change and it did kind of get canceled really before the first season was even done.
Which is a shame, because I remember it being a pretty good show.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, they have a lot of people in this. I'm trying.
Yeah, like the cast for that TV show was pretty impressive. The people that they managed to pull off for that. Like I said, you had Michael Roker. A lot of the people from the movies did come back. I don't know if Kevin Bacon came back for the show. I don't.
He didn't. It was just the revival series that was going to come out. But yeah, you had Dean Norris, who's obviously from Breaking Bad. You had Michael Gross. Obviously, Burt Gummer becomes the main character. Main villain of the show, played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
You have Sarah Rafferty, who is in 3 episodes, but is mainly known for her role on Suits, which is like the biggest TV show on right now.
Well, that was on, but it blew up.
It's coming back.
It blew up
it's
because
coming
of
back.
the writers' actors strike. They're bringing a spin-off out. Yeah.
So many people in this series. It's actually, go to the IMDb page and just go scroll on it. They got so many people.
Yeah.
To at least do like one episode of the show. Yeah, and then I ended up getting all of the movies on Blu-ray. There was a European set that had all of them in one big, nice, fancy Blu-ray set. That's, of course, when I went to go order it, was not available. Hopefully that comes out soon. But they do have DVD sets for the whole series, and it's like, what was it, like $20?
Yeah, they're pretty. The DVD sets are pretty cheap. Yeah,
super cheap. And the cool thing is that if you get the individual ones, the last 2 movies do come with digital copies. I haven't watched the last 2 ones because I'm a little afraid. because it's got Jamie Kennedy, which the first one, Jamie Kennedy, was actually pretty good, and then John Hader, Napoleon Dynamite himself. They can't be that bad. I haven't watched them though. And one of the other things to check out is a book by Jonathan Melville. It is called Seeking Perfection. It is kind of like an unofficial guide to the Tremors.
That's a pretty cool.
Yeah, he says
book.
unofficial guide to Tremors, but he's actually featured in a lot of the official Tremors featurettes and the stuff that's on Arrow Video. So he really does know a lot of stuff. And this book goes through a whole bunch. I have pages bent because I have a toddler and he just grabs everything. But yeah, really fun book. I only got like a chapter in so far. I haven't had really the time to read, but really nice book.
Yeah,
Want to check that out?
Looks like a really cool book, actually.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon. And yeah, I would recommend definitely getting into the series however you can.
Yeah. If you've never seen Tremors, you are absolutely missing out.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's fun, horror, sci-fi. I mean, this killed it in the 90s. And like you said, it absolutely crushed it in the video stores. Whenever we would see Tremors pop up, we'd be like, you know, back then you didn't have a hot feed on when these new movies are coming back.
They kind of just popped up in the
We go to Blockbuster,
store.
browse the new release wall, head to the sci-fi section, see what was new, and boom, one day Tremors 3 popped up, one day Tremors 2 was there, and then the fourth one. Yeah, I would love to see this get a revitalization, honestly. I mean, I believe
I'm surprised
the
that
seventh one, but
I'm surprised that the pilot episode hasn't leaked. So apparently that was done.
Yeah.
The Kevin Bacon pilot episode was done.
I don't know if it's online or is it just a trailer that they have.
I don't know if it's just the trailer. One of the rumors that I heard was because they did redesign the Graboid for the series, and it looks a lot like the worm from Dune.
Oh.
So I heard some people were like, it might have had something to do with that, but this is obviously way before the Dune movies were even probably even conceptualized that this happened.
Yeah.
Because I think this was like 2012.
Was it that long ago? Oh.
I think it was shortly after the recession, I think.
Was it? Oh.
Because Kevin Bacon got Bernie Madoff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But I don't quote me on that.
Look. Oh, no, it was 2018. I thought it was...
Oh, wow, that actually is quite recent.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Okay, so...
Oh, it's crazy. It's even got the picture with the current sci-fi logo. I don't know why they attempted to pitch it to sci-fi again after they axed the original one, but I guess
yeah,
it's sci-fi.
Yeah, but sci-fi axes a lot of their good TV shows.
Yeah.
Like Being Human, such a good show, and then sci-fi kind of...
Yeah, I'm seeing it looks like there's only like a 2-minute and 40-second trailer for it.
I'm sure it'll pop up on Internet Archive one day.
Yeah. It's got to be out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we said, check out Tremors. Thanks for joining us again. We're back, and we plan on going pretty strong from here on out. We're going to try to be pumping out some episodes for you guys in the next couple of weeks. We want to catch up, make up for some lost time. I mean, we intended on taking a break in December. We did not plan on taking a break for January and halfway through February, but here we are. You know,
That's
things
life.
happen. We got sick. As you saw, I even struggled a couple times here with the cough, but I made it through. Didn't do bad.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you soon.
All right, see ya. Bye.